Hello everyone and welcome to Cortina, the wheelchair curling competition at the Paralympic Winter Games 2026. Excitement building for the action here as the fans head into this wonderful stadium. It's all about the bronze medal. Who will be the bronze medal winners? Will it be the Republic of Korea or will it be Sweden that wins Paralympic bronze in 2026? Both these teams losing out narrowly in their semi-final playoffs. This medal is going to be very, very special. The most precious prize of all. Alongside me, Alison Walker, is Lorna Rettig. We are so looking forward to this one now.
Absolutely. So as you said, both teams, they had their chances in those semi-finals. Two very close games we had, and both teams would love to finish strong here, finish on a win. It was Sweden who won this encounter in the round robin. Sweden 8-6 winning over Korea, and I wonder if that will be on Korea's mind going into this bronze medal game. But both teams would love to finish on a win.
Absolutely. The soreness of losing out on the gold medal game. Wonder what impact that will have. They'll have to get themselves up for this. This is a medal to be won at the Paralympic Winter Games.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome
just going to check out the teams for you because there has been a little bit of shuffling of the teams over recent games. Lineups changing round a little bit. He's quite a character, isn't he? He's loving the curling.
You know, loves his curling. He was here at the beginning, and he is here to honour the teams here in the bronze medal game.
Here they come on. Sweden following Korea. There's a skip. It's Dahl. Rio. Been in this movie before. Very experienced. Two very experienced lineups taking to the arena.
Republic of Korea.
And they'll be playing on sheet C. Just the one game obviously on in the arena. And here's the lineup for Korea.
Lee Hong-chu.
He's the skip, playing second. Kyo Toy, fourth player. Minja, the lead.
Sweden.
The alternate, and there's the losses and wins. None of that's really relevant now, except how much will that play on the mind. They lost to this team, this Swedish team, very, very experienced team, being introduced to the crowd. They're looking quite relaxed. You've got Rio Patterson Dahl, Marcus Holm, Ronnie Persson, Christina Yolanda, known as Kiki, and there is their win-loss record.
Yeah, these teams couldn't be closer. Both pushing their semi-finals really to the last throw. And this game is anyone's. I think we may see a conservative start, as we saw a little bit in the semi-finals. Both teams will be cautious of getting into a muddle too early. At some point, it's aggressive stuff that wins you games these days.
You just never know. That's how they got there, losing out to Canada and China. Canada and China will go for the gold medal tomorrow. But this is the focus right now in Songmo. Korean coach. I'm sure you'll have had to have a big chat after that semi-final loss. And Peter Narup, well, he's been around the block, was a very, very good curler himself, playing for Sweden. Lots and lots of knowledge to impart in this Swedish team. Always aware of the ice conditions, the humidity with people inside the arena. So the ice technicians will be keeping a close eye on that. Really important. You can sense just the anticipation ahead of this bronze medal game. As you can see, Sweden on the last stone draw, and they will have the hammer in this first end. And it will be Bang Min-yeok that gets us underway in this bronze medal game.
She has been so consistent, Bang Min-yeok, this whole competition. And I've said once or twice already, if you play at the club or we're learning curling and you maybe think, oh, I guess your lead player, that's your least experienced or your least good player in the team. Well, watch a few of the games we've had here at Paralympic Winter Games. Nothing could be further from the truth. We've had some outstanding performances of lead players really setting up their team and saying to the teammates, right, I've set it up for you. Now you have to make the points.
Kristina Olander, Kiki, 44 years
Hela
old.
vägen.
You'll find that the stats will show that the teams that have had the best performing leads have usually done pretty well in the competition.
Absolutely, there is a direct correlation between high-performing leads and the strong performance in this competition. And I think we're in for an intriguing battle here between Kiki Olander and Bang Minjo.
Some rolls to the edge of the 12-foot.
And this is a highly conservative start, as we thought. Korea without last stone. They just want to prevent Sweden building up points, getting scoring opportunities. So they begin with a stone in the house, asking the question of Sweden, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to play defensive and remove, or put some stones out front, use that free guard zone? Now we have our answer. Both teams highly respectful of each other, highly respectful of the shooting power. And I think that's why we may see a fairly conservative first end here. That's an early mistake. I can only apologise to Bang Minjo after saying she was doing beautifully all competitions.
If you're going to make that kind of mistake, you do it in the first end. Just
very true.
Still getting a handle on the ice.
Yeah, a long way to go. We play 8 ends in the bronze medal game. We have 38 minutes thinking time per team. You'll see the clock on the scoreboard in the background, and both teams have a 1-minute timeout. And they can stop the game clock and call their coach down to the ice for some advice.
2.75.
12-6.
Yolanda back. Is it going to hang on?
Needs to hang on. Oh, that's a missed opportunity.
Two teams also know each other very well. They know what they're good at. They know what each individual member of that team is good at. That can be helpful, but it sometimes goes the other way too, because you know how good they are.
Yeah, they've played each other many times, these two teams, just throughout this past Paralympic cycle. Both teams so consistent at this level.
This is Lee Hyun-cho. Skips roll, playing second here. He's playing the last stone in that semi-final. Unfortunately, it was down to him in the end, losing out. No problem with this one.
Yeah, lucky you, Korea. A little mistake from Korea rewarded with a little mistake from Sweden. And we're back to full defensive mode.
13-2.
Ja.
12-6, precis igenom.
Ja.
Tänk 13-2, 13-3 förresten.
Ja.
Second player for Sweden,
Ligger bra.
Ronnie Persson. He's been there and worn the t-shirt. My goodness, done absolutely everything. Summer Paralympian.
Bra.
Would dearly love to win a medal here in 2026. Doesn't know whether he will be around or whether he'll do another cycle, he was saying. This one's drifting on a bit.
Ja då, det räcker så. Bra.
Yeah, clever use of that stone from Olander. It just slipped on a little bit on its own, but was providing a bit of a break at the back there. But it's just bumps the yellow a bit further back. And certainly possible for Korea to continue removing Swedish counters here.
A Everyone has their own style, their own delivery, the way they do it. You can have the long arm, you can have the bent arm. Giving this a bit of welly, as we say in Scotland. There we go.
Yeah, a bit of a first end for the purists here. Not surprising. Both teams hold each other in very high regard. They don't really want too many stones in play in this first end, when a mistake could be extremely costly. Ronnie Persson throwing second in this game. He started competition playing third, but both teams have moved their constellation around a little bit, used different lineups throughout the round robin and semi-finals, and it's a long way. We started with 10 teams, so 9 games in the round robin, and of course the wheelchair players needing all that power only from upper body strength, not from leg drive like the foot players. And so it makes sense to make use of your alternate player and bring them in for a bit of fresh blood.
Similar line, similar outcome.
So those two stones actually still in play. All of the stone has to be over all of the back line. So they look a bit funny just sitting there at the back, but they are both still in play.
I'm looking at the standard of wheelchair curling at this Paralympics compared to previous one. In fact, comparing it to the first World Championships, which I think were in Switzerland in 2002, and then making its Paralympic debut 20 years ago in Torino. Well, the level has just risen so high. Here is the Korean, Nam Bong Kwang, who was absolutely sensational in that semi-final. He missed nothing. Key player in this Korean team. Crept in.
Yeah, the level always rising in the wheelchair game. They've really had some wonderful encounters, and that's a good opportunity to mention that if you're a wheelchair player or you would like to try wheelchair curling, you don't even need to have a wheelchair curling club specifically. You can join in with foot players. I know people who are the only wheelchair player at their club, and at the club level, highly inclusive. Everyone can play together.
Yeah, man.
Sweden is actually one of the countries that has the most wheelchair curlers. They do have a slightly bigger pool to call upon, but these players are based all over Sweden, so getting together as part of a team is a challenge.
It's a sneaky little shot from Marcus Holm. Starting the competition as alternate. Throwing third in this bronze medal game. So no problem removing the red, and I think that little yellow at front, and Korea thinks so too. I think it's just touching the rings.
So they have their eye on that. I'm just making sure it's stable. Left-hander. Now you can only watch and wait. Nice little hit and roll. Is it going to hang about? Finds its way out. But the first order of the day was getting rid of that Swedish stone. Top of the 12 foot.
Yeah, Korea will be happy with this. Their objective early on in this first end, very early in the game, just to prevent Sweden getting opportunities to score here, and they're doing that very nicely.
Yeah, man.
Marcus will get another one into the house here. Or maybe not. Off it goes. Oh, is it biting? Not quite.
Yeah, they're doing the right thing, Sweden. They're urgently trying to use those yellows that are just hanging around at the back, use them as a bit of a cushion. Maybe just a few nerves out there, just overthrowing a little bit.
Lee Hyung-chul just having a look over at that Swedish yellow, just to check it is out. And where he's placing the room, that's where have to aim. It's not necessarily where it'll finish. Yang Hute, 57-year-old, back in the team, missed out in the semi-finals earlier on.
Yeah, where we put the brush, that's called reading the ice, and that is the skill of the person holding the brush. They have to know where to put the brush. So when you aim for the brush plus curl equals target.
Good draw from Yang Hui-Tui,
He has certainly reached the target with that one.
but very exposed and vulnerable, sitting there all on its Todd. In Scottish, that means on its own.
Dad.
Lots of Scottish words in curling, and you even hear, say, the teams from Sweden and Korea or China, you often hear them using words from Scotland. At some point, you've got your terminology and you're committed to it.
So we're on to
Tycker du sätter den bra?
Swedish skip.
Bra Vilja.
Jobbet Sandal, 43 years old. Right on
8-8.
that Korean stone.
Vilja. Bra.
Hits and sticks. Just trading hits at the moment, two teams. It's almost, you feel as if it's the calm before the storm here, because we know it's going to build up into something spectacular.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised if we're fairly conservative again in the second end, but you're right, at some point one of the teams has to take this on. Start mixing it up, keep more stones in play. You don't win stones by hitting.
Keeping the concentration levels going. Still have to make it look easy, but actually that stone has to travel an awful long way from one end to the other. And you've got to keep your eye on it before you throw.
Ligger lite inne. Bra där.
Kom igen, den har du.
8.
This is the last stone now.
Den har du.
Sweden with the hammer, remember.
Bra.
Not going to get a high score here, or any score really of note. So he will get rid of both stones, and the end is blanked. So it's like we're restarting all over again on a blank sheet of paper for end two.
Yeah, that was on purpose. We can talk a bit more about that, but it is a blank end, a deliberate score of 0 for Sweden.
Snyggt. Härligt Vilja.
Away it goes. Really was all about just trading the hits there. Almost consolidation, maybe learning a bit about the ice, maybe just getting a feel for it. Only 7 ends to go now, and after the first end, it remains Korea 0, Sweden 0.
자, 한번 다시 해봅시다. 웃으면서 코리아!
Word with the coaches.
Jo, vi sa det nu.
It's the break clock countdown. One end gone. 7 to go, 0-0.
그대로. 예. 하셔도 됩니다.
What it means, blanked end means that Sweden retains the hammer and will try and get a score here. It is part of the game strategy, isn't it?
괜찮아요.
It is. So Sweden deliberately scoring 0 there on purpose. That wasn't a mistake. And why is that? Well, as we saw, fairly straightforward first end there, just exchanging hits. Sweden, they could have scored 1 point there. It was a choice to score 0 instead. And that's because Sweden, they didn't want to give up that last stone advantage, but only put 1 point on the board. So you can score 1 with your 1 last stone, kind of at any point. And if you do that and your opposition then gets a point, then you get a point. At the end of 8 ends, we would end up with a score of 4 each. So if you want to win the game, you need to mix it up a bit. You need to get more points. So Sweden deciding, well, we could put 1 point on the board, but then we give last stone advantage back to Korea. So they're saying, no, I think we'll just score 0. We'll blank this end on purpose. And we'll hang on to last stone advantage. And we've already seen a more aggressive start here in the second end.
Yep. Hopefully get some more stones in play here. Right on the tee line for Sweden. A little smile there. Both teams do look fairly relaxed at the moment. Difficult to tell, but Vio there is smiling at the crowd. This is their last game in the last Paralympic Winter Games experience for this campaign anyway, so got to enjoy it.
Yeah, you've done the hard work now. Now's the time to enjoy this game. And I always say to teams, win or lose, leave your best shots out there. If that wasn't enough today, so be it. But leave your best shots on the ice. Come off feeling like you could have done no more.
Kändes okej.
Ja, det är bra.
Goes their second stone. And that right-hand pathway
Niklas 3. Bra kicking.
to the Korean red. Trading hits there.
The Korean objective still similar in this second end. It's still 0-0. It's still Sweden who have last stone, and it's still Korea who want to just limit scoring opportunities for Sweden.
자, 좋습니다. 조금만.
There's the broom and
너무
the
많이
aim
갔어.
for Lee Hyun-chol.
The faster the stone is going, the less it will curl on this 45-metre sheet. So the stone coming at pace. Wants to pop that yellow out. Doesn't want to curl too much.
괜찮아, 잘했어.
It has overcurled a bit though, and I wonder if Sweden will now use that guard that's left out front.
Kör du Niklas eller? Ja. Bra.
Coming round it. Oh, Peel.
This truly is the uber conservative approach. This is exactly what I would do, but I'm from the 1980s.
Inne.
But it can be effective.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's Sweden who are in control of the tactics at the moment. Sweden with that last stone advantage. It's really up to them to do the work here to decide if they want to play the more aggressive stones, keep stones in play. It's not up to Korea to do that work for them.
Running person with it.
Niklas
There.
2, bra fart.
That's a mistake though.
Bra fart.
He knew it before he released it.
아니요, 열이요. 열.
Well, Sweden didn't look interested in an aggressive end, but they may be having to switch that up after a bit of a loose shot from Ronnie Persson. Doesn't matter to Korea if that stone out front is yellow. They can still hide in behind it.
Yep, they'll use it to their advantage now. Get one into the house.
Yeah, no big pressure really here for Korea with this strategy. This is an effective way of just limiting Sweden's scoring opportunities, is just to get there first, close down that scoring area. maybe force Sweden to score points here, and then it would be Korea who gets last stone advantage going forward.
And that's a decent draw from Lee Hyun-chol. A bit further than he would have liked. Just good to get it at the top of that button area, or the top of the forefoot. A bit more room for manoeuvre.
Lite inne. Bra.
Broom beside Korean red.
Bra nu.
Kändes okej.
Being close to that target area, that tells us that the stone won't be curling very much, and that tells us that the stone will be coming in full beans.
Härlig
You can see there really just how straight that was, and that was all to do with the weight. Clearly done. Moni Persson leaving his own on the button.
Yeah, and for an encore, I think he has tucked it right in behind that nice yellow out front.
And that really is key. I don't think they can see anything of that at the other end. Although Nam Bong Kwan was finding a way of getting them in the semi-final, so
Yeah, this kind of shot, very much a balance. You would quite like to play enough weight to just push that yellow a bit. But as we said, the more weight you play, the less the stone curls. So you need to give the stone a chance to work as well, and he's done that beautifully. He has found a way right to the centre again. Nam Bong Kwan. He is not going to go back to Korea wondering. He is leaving all his best shots out there.
he's continuing the good form that he had against Canada.
Okej,
It's
den
a
är bra.
beauty.
Den har du.
Although it's very visible.
Yeah, they can see a lot of that red, but there is a yellow very close by. If you get the angle wrong here, you may end up picking your own yellow off as well. So that's found a decent spot, the Korean
Ute
counter.
ganska mycket, Mackan. Där.
Behöver hoppa. Vänta då.
Där. Ute. Bra.
Jag med. Kom igen då.
Marcus Holm, does he like it? Let's see what he thinks. Here it comes, straight down the middle here. And just what you predicted, Lorna.
Det är bara farten, Mackan.
And a Korean stone hanging on there. He wouldn't mind springing all of the stones out, but he doesn't really want a Korean stone hanging around. That just, that red, spin, 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 kind of spinning itself back in again a little bit.
Not quite clearing up as much as he would have wanted.
Yeah, and that means that Korea now has an opportunity to put pressure back on Sweden in the second end.
And this is the man to do it, Nam Bong Kwan. He really has been outstanding the last few games. And his weight has just been so precise. And here this one comes in. He's really wanting to get it in the guard. That's a good effort.
Found a good spot from Nam. Important is it's ahead of that T-line. So that's a red stone that's always a danger to Sweden. That's a red stone that can get closer to centre, tucked in behind the guard.
Kom igen, den är din.
And Sweden recognising that danger and wanting to get rid of it right away.
Ute lite. Bra. Lite ute linjen.
Good weight here, it's straight.
Niklas, bättre fart, Mackan. Bra.
Bra!
To hang
Bra
about.
fart.
Bra, Mackan!
But no. Korean stone still lurking at the back of that 12-foot area. Not a huge amount happening out there in terms of building the end for a multiple score as yet, as we hit the fourth stones.
여덟 안쪽 느낌 잡았어요
Between
이번에는.
coming in to play the fourth stones in place of Lee Hyun-chol, who's still the skip, but playing second in this Korean team.
Traditionally, it would be fourth thrower who also plays skip, but much more in the modern game. You sometimes see that responsibility split. It's not always the person who's the good strategist, who can read the ice, put the brush down in the right place. It's not always that person who is happy to throw fourth.
좋아요, 좋아.
Right beside the other one.
내가 7, 8번 쓰는데. 지금 몇 번 주는데요? 7번 갑니다.
Vad tror du om 4? Eller vill du ha
Practice your draw weight, I guess, at this stage.
Oh yes, a little bit of target practice is always fine.
Den är din.
That's what wins you games these days. You don't win games by hitting anymore. The ice conditions so much more advanced than from the 80s and 90s, when you sometimes had to take a bit of a run at it to get the stone to do what you want. But the ice conditions super out there. They've been great all week.
And players have absolutely loved playing on this quality of ice.
Bra satt!
Enables them to produce the best shots. Show curling off to its best. There's a Swedish skip.
12-7!
Same line as his Korean counterpart. Where's this going to pull up?
Nice careful throw here. This looks good. This looks good.
That's the counting stone for Sweden. That'll do.
Men glider på bra.
Sweden realizing that someone is going to score here. So let's work hard to try and maybe even get 2 yellow points here.
And the knowledge that he did have potentially some backing there as well, if needed. Let's see what 12 can do with his final stone. Just wants to make life as difficult as possible for Sweden ahead of their final stone.
Yeah, same again, please, for Korea would work here. If you can just land this in front of that yellow and neutralise it, but this has got a bit to curl to get to the yellow.
It's coming now, it's coming now. And that's tasty as well, look at that.
And has found a good spot for Korea. Difficult to move that red and keep your own yellow in play.
Just gliding in, nestling beside the yellow.
13-5 är ju okej.
It's only possible for
Lugn och fin.
Ute!
Sweden right now to get one, unless they can. So difficult to remove stones that are so bunched together like that.
It's true. Sometimes you just have to accept it. If your opposition plays 8 out of 8 stones, you cannot score more than 1. And a very good last throw from your opposition, just cancelling out the possibility to get 2. And sometimes you just have to accept that.
Well, here we go. Final stone of this second end. The draw, making sure of that single point. We have a point on the scoreboard in this bronze medal game. And it goes to Sweden. The draw coming in.
Super throw from Peterson Dahl. Also getting a bit of target practice. They'll need to keep that weight in his pocket. Could be Korea who are a little bit happier with this. They now have last stone advantage and they only had to give up 1 point.
After the second end in this bronze medal game, it's Korea 0, Sweden 1.
Du tänker att vi drar in i bord nu. Fokus, fart och fast. Lugnt och fint.
Lugn och fin. Ta ett andetag innan ni drar stenen och bara... Så spelar vi. Lugn och fint.
Bra.
Couple of ends gone then. The first one blanked. 1 point on the scoreboard for Sweden. Beaten in Beijing by China 4 years ago. Trying to win bronze here in 2026, as are Korea. This is going to be a tough old tussle between these two. You can already foresee that. And this is end number 3. Sweden getting us underway with that
Ja, det var ju inte.
centre line guard.
That's a nice throw from Kiki Ulander, making use of that free guard zone, that area out front ahead of the rings. So beyond that thick green line, the hog line, and before it gets to any part of the rings, that's the free guard zone. And any stone there, Korea not allowed to remove. Well, you're not allowed to remove your opposition stone within that free guard zone until 5 stones have been played. So that's a strong start from Sweden.
Coming Chong. See how this is looking. It's coming around onto that centre line.
It's quite a decent spot.
이거 안 나가는 건
Again, it's good for Bang Mingja
3초인데 저기밖에 안
keep
가면 안
that
나가.
weight in her pocket. That's the critical weight, is that area ahead of T-line there. So she'd have hoped the stone to just keep moving a little bit further, get a bit closer to centre, get in behind cover. But that already asking the question of Sweden.
Kändes bra.
Kändes bra. Nej.
Korea had to hammer in this end, so the onus is on them.
Kage 4. Bra Kiki. Bra.
It's hovers on the edge of the top of the 12-foot from Yolanda.
Yeah, objectives more or less reversed here in this third end. As you said, it's now Korea who have the last stone advantage. And so from Sweden's perspective, it is now they who simply want to prevent Korea scoring. We're still early in the game, we're still in the first half. And so Sweden's objective really just to frustrate Korea, not let them build stones, not let them build up points, and hopefully try to get that last stone advantage back again for the cost of only 1 point.
Baron spins out.
Another fairly talented Swedish player,
Om vi inte
Pasadena.
är så är det typ 5. För att
I've heard him say back in the day that he hated giving up last stone advantage and only scoring 1 point.
Yep.
It's harder to do these days because of the 5 rock rule. We used to have a 4 rock free guard zone. And it's a little bit harder to achieve 2 points these days in the 5 rock rule.
Just make it more and more difficult as the athletes get better and better.
We keep having to invent new rules. Yeah, these top teams keep on getting too good at the game, and we keep having to invent new rules to keep it aggressive, keep stones in play, keep point scoring opportunities.
6.
So Ronnie Persson stone coming round, but need to curl a little bit. That's useful. Smile.
Yeah, a stone that's too long, that doesn't help anyone. A stone that's too long is just going to go through the back, and then you can't use it anymore. A stone that's a little bit shorter, that's now a double guard. And that's another stone we can use. So that's a good plan B from Ronnie Persson.
아이 괜찮나? 조금만 더. 네, 됐어요.
Quickly. The marker for Li Hyung-chong.
아이 괜찮아. 베이트마.
Big close eye on it. It's curling round a little bit too much. It's not wide enough.
Yeah, that stone, I don't think it quite had enough beans on it to get to the centre. So in contrast to the faster the stone going, the less it curls. The slower the stone is going, the more it curls. So we just saw that red just crashing into that guard out front. Didn't quite have speed to get all the way to the centre. So a big opportunity now for Sweden to put some pressure on. No Korean counters to remove. So the other way of putting pressure on or restricting scoring opportunity is to get there first. Sweden can wrap a stone round the back of these two guards. And put something on the centre before Korea. Then Korea has to do something about it. I know this looks like a peach.
Yeah, Ronnie knows the weight here. It's coming round, it's coming round. Look at that position. That's just about perfect, isn't it?
That is lovely. So if Korea want to score anything here, or if you now want to stop Sweden picking up a point, they have to do something about that yellow.
1, 2, 3. Perfect weight. What will be the Korean response here?
You can't really see much of that yellow. Maximum half, I think.
Giving away too much in his expression. Never caught the guard the last time.
This is curling too much again. Yeah, he's done the same again. Ooh, this is danger now for Korea. The saving grace is they do have last stone, so they have the final say to limit damage, but they are not making good use of that last stone advantage yet. They're not managing to build up points in this end. Everything's coming up Sweden in the third end at the moment.
Frustration to make the same mistake twice.
Guard på den Mackan.
15.
Lugn och fin. Den har du. Jajamän.
Ute.
You can sense the tension out there. Both teams very well supported with their fans, but yes, so tense out there.
I do think it's ramped up a bit in this third end, as we thought it might.
Oh yes, the deeper we get into this game, the more critical every good shot and every bad shot will become.
Bra Mackan.
It's going to make it through.
Det är bra.
He's touching his own guard, but that's
That's a good
fine.
spot. That's a really good
He's
spot.
found a nice spot. He had the good weight, and very often, if you have good weight, even if you're not perfect, then typically you can get a good plan B from there. And yeah, there's no space through that little tiny gap on the
이거
centre.
먼저 맞아야 되니까 편하게 하세요. 너무
A
많아.
nice wee Swedish family around that yellow stone in the house.
8초
However-
초반 8초 7초도 괜찮아요. 조금만.
If anyone can, it's Bong Kwang. I am such a fan.
Yeah, and he can't half throw them, this man. All that power coming from upper body strength.
Here it comes. How's this looking?
That's a peach. That's a
Look
great
at
shot.
that.
Oh, very unlucky.
Yeah, not the best outcome for Korea. It was the right idea for sure.
Absolutely. But the good news for Korea fans is those two yellows that were the danger. He's a bit unlucky that they hang around, but critical is that there's a now clear path towards the centre.
Kom igen, den har du.
And with last stone, that's the
Beautiful.
most important.
Yep.
I don't expect those two yellows over in the 12-foot in the blue circle. I don't expect them to be important later.
Jajamän.
It's all about controlling that centre area.
Let's open things up. But Sweden will try and shore things up here.
Bra.
Yeah, Sweden also will not be terribly concerned with those yellows hanging around towards the edge of the rings. They are really focusing all of their stuff on the centre here.
Bra Mackan.
That's how they can cause Korea issues. Oh, that's a fine throw. Marcus Long.
Again, almost directly parallel with that yellow in the house at the top.
조금 보이긴 보여.
Look at that. You couldn't have placed that better if you just
지금 이게
Gone onto the ice and popped it there.
점수예요. 들어.
I've been saying that a
괜찮을
lot
것
in these
같아요.
Paralympic Winter Games, such as the accuracy of the wheelchair players.
약하지 않게 맞고 사는 게 좋을 것 같아요.
All of that done
그냥
without
들어오도
sweeping.
되고요.
I wonder what Bang Chan Nam Bang Kwang has in his armoury for this one. Here it comes.
Lovely smooth delivery from Nam.
It looks quite effortless, doesn't it?
He does make it look easy.
Down this centre line, needs to watch this top guard. Heels its way through, threads its way through. As this back support here, which is useful.
I think that's pretty much what they wanted, but I'm not sure I like that call.
Second stone.
상대가 일본이야, 오버클. 앞에.
Might have wanted just more of a hit and roll in.
Yeah, I think what Korea seems to be thinking is how to get 2 points. So they're sort of building the second point there, and I guess they're going to try and attack the centre with their final throws, but that doesn't particularly help them. I think that yellow, it was really too far back for that kind of shot, and I think they would have been better doing the same again, just keeping that centre clear, because guess what they're going to be looking at after that man's thrown? They're going to be looking at even more trouble on the centre line.
Yeah, really need one in and counting there, didn't they?
Yeah, it looked like that's what they asked for, but I'm not sure that was a good decision for Korea. I think they're just going to make their own lives a bit more difficult with their last stone here.
Firstly, the Swedish skip. Similar pathway. It's going to block that route in, which we thought he would do. That's an excellent guard from the Swedish skip. Stones scattered all over. Sweden counting one.
I think it is just one, that red, just about touching the 8-foot circle, the white one.
형, 백가드 생각하고 들어만 발라 먼저. 아니면 테이크를 먼저 할라. 이거는 라인이 안 돼.
Korea almost playing the end backwards at the moment.
네? 라인이 안 된다고.
It's
여기
Sweden
보이잖아요.
No, it's Korea who have last stone, not Sweden.
Yep.
But they're really sort of trying to neutralise these Swedish counters rather than trying to get their own into play.
걸릴 수도 있어, 인하우스.
인턴으로.
Oh, this is a tricky shot
인턴으로 말하는 거예요.
for Yang Hui-Tui.
그냥 들어.
It would be rather earlier than we typically see to call a coach timeout, but Korea seem a wee bit lost here in this third end. I don't think they're making good decisions here.
And that yellow one at the top of the 8-foot is the one they were hoping to get rid of at some point to secure two, but are they just making sure of one now?
That's what it looks like, but that's a very funny decision. There's nothing wrong at this early stage to just keep that centre clear and just accept, okay, we've had a couple of earlier misses, let's just get 1 point safely on the board, we'll level the score, start again. But of course they seem determined to make their own lives a bit tricky here. That has unhelped Korea.
Yeah, they're in a worse scenario now than they were before that stone. Basically, Sweden don't really have to do anything.
Okej. Vart vill du stänga? Där!
Stäng den sidan!
Ja.
Ja, men vad fan, öppnar vi för att jag tar jättegärna en etta här.
I think just reinforce the Great Wall of Sweden out front there. And that's a very peculiar end tactically from Korea. He did the right thing with Nam Bong Kwang's first throw and really opened up that centre path. That looked immediately better. But then changed tack and started playing away from the centre, and that is rarely a good idea when your opposition are piling them in there. And I think Korea are going to pay for this.
Sandal reinforcing the Swedish position here. Just getting the wall up, blocking anything.
Yeah, no access now to that yellow. It's been sitting there for most of the end. Yeah,
What would you do here, Lorna, if you were Korea?
Well,
Forget what's happened before. This is a scenario that they're faced with now.
I don't see any access to the yellow in the 8-foot. I think what they need to use, I think they'll be doing well to be able to cut this down here, and they need to use one of the reds. So there's a red sort of wide either side of that centre line, the one just in front of us here in this picture, or the one that the two of them are looking at on the other side of that centre line. Yeah, they need to punch that forward.
맞는 각은 거기에서 살짝 더 이쪽.
But what a complicated shot. That is so much work to get 1 point here.
좀 더 안쪽으로 가도 돼. 좀 더 두껍게 맞아도 돼요.
I don't think
They
they
don't
have
want
too
to
much
make
choice.
things worse either. That's the other.
That is true. There are plenty
Potential.
of yellows out there.
이건 앵글가 안 나오죠.
And if you're playing the kind of weight to punch a stone forward to the centre, you can punch your opposition stone forward if you get it wrong.
됐죠?
There is a shot for 2 here.
세턴 아까 이나오다.
But heavens, it's difficult.
이나오다
I
이나오다
don't
그럼
think this
여기
was
맞아야
worth
돼요.
trying to set up this
그럼
angled
세턴에
raise for 2 here.
두껍게 맞아.
The third end is very early
스테이
for.
돼도 형 괜찮아.
second
이거
shot.
형 봐봐. 스테이 돼도 이거 맞고 들어갈 수 있으니까.
But it is possible if you can angle that red. That one's the closer. And if you can angle that red correctly, squirt it back onto that yellow.
좀 떨어야
But even then, yeah, you'd still need to be lucky with the roll.
There's just too many variables, aren't there?
화이팅!
Yeah, this is a baffling third end from Korea for me.
Let's see what Korea can produce here. It's the final stone of the third end. Sweden, line 1, sitting very comfortably with that one. Korea's second stone at the moment. Things need to be moved about. How's the weight here?
He looks good.
Raising on his own.
He's
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness gracious.
I
Well,
think he's got it. I think that is 2.
what a shot from Yang Hui-Tui. We didn't think that was, well, we knew it was possible, but we didn't
So
think he could
difficult.
execute. Just when Korea needed it, there we go.
Well, that was an enormous amount of work to make 2 points, but they got it in the end.
And also the confidence they'll gain from producing a shot like that as well is huge. So after 3,
그러면
after that brilliant
50초 안
shot,
되는 형이 출발해도 상관없다는
Korea
얘기야.
3, Sweden 1.
우리 그 시간까지 다 쓸 겁니다. 이태 형 던질 때 무조건
아니 그 일단 시간을 줄일 수 있으면 일단 줄이고 일단 그렇게 해야지. 생각은 하지 마.
일단 생각은 그렇게 하자고 이 말이야. 최선을 다합시다. 코리아 화이팅!
Enda målet är på.
Ja, det var Adrian.
Nej, men kom igen nu. Båda stenarna.
Båda egen sten.
Jajamän. Fokus nu.
Sweden did well to set the end up, didn't they? Got everything in position, and this was the key stone as it turned out later on in the end. And 3 counters, and then Korea came in, had one at the back, counting, and then that final stone, which was an absolute belter from Yang Hui-Tui. After 3, it's Korea 2, Sweden 1. Time to reset again. A whole new end. This is end number 4.
That final throw of the third end, that will really have given everyone in the Korean team a boost.
좋아요 누나.
3초에
Spectacularly difficult way to make 2 points, but they did it.
3초.
Yeah.
두세 번 가면은
Maybe a little bit naive of Sweden actually with their final throw.
Distinct.
Ja.
Maybe not to give a little bit more thought to Korea's options with their last stone. And they maybe could have dropped a Swedish stone in front of that red. You can't guard everything. And all you can do is force your opposition into the most difficult shot you can. And if they make it, good for them.
Sealing up one side, you know, and you have to seal up the other side. It's
Hard to block everything.
Bra.
센터만 잡으면 될 것 같긴 하다.
오,
센터만.
많은데?
많지 않을까? 센터가 좀 덜 떨어진 것 같은데. 두 개만.
센터 보고 밀어도
After all that excitement with loads of stones in play in the third end, looks like everybody happy to just keep it simple for a couple of stones here in the fourth.
See how straight this one is.
자,
It's coming a little bit at the end.
이쪽이 조금 덜
Found a nice spot with that red shooter.
많지 않았는데 얇게 걸리잖아요. 센터가 맞아요. 네.
하얀색.
The objectives are evolving a little bit now. We're in the fourth end out of 8. We're approaching the halfway. Score is 2-1. And it is Sweden who have the last stone advantage. They're one behind. So the tactics will just be starting to evolve a little bit.
Kändes bra.
We could see Sweden play aggressively here in this fourth end and try to put a 2 straight back on the board.
At what point do we know they're going to be aggressive?
Bra
It's
Kiki!
really to do with the first throws from that lady on your screen, Kiki Ulander. Korea, they are likely to play conservatively here because they want to ask the question of Sweden. So we saw Korea putting a stone straight into the rings, asking the question of Sweden, and at that point it is a direct choice for Sweden. They can either remove that Korean counter, that would be the defensive choice, or they could put a stone up in the free guard zone, which can't be removed. For 5 stones, that would be the aggressive choice. That would be the choice to keep stones in play. So sometimes you do have to switch things up in the middle of an end if a stone doesn't go quite the way you wanted it to. But at the moment, Sweden really choosing to keep this defensive, keep things clear.
웨이트. 웨이트.
For a bit of a groan.
왜 이렇게 약하게 밀어? 범퍼하게
Needs the
됐어?
skip, so it was his decision to
Ja.
play that particular shot in the last end. It's down to Yang Ditway to execute it, so good teamwork in the Korean ranks.
Throwing fourth is not for everyone. It is difficult throwing fourth because there's nowhere to hide. It's really all or nothing when you're throwing fourth. Even if you're throwing third, there's still somebody, a teammate coming after you. So if your stone isn't quite perfect, there is still someone else who can clear it up, but it's not for everyone throwing fourth. It's not even necessarily your best player who throws fourth. It's typically the player who is comfortable throwing fourth, who is comfortable with that pressure of the all or nothing shots.
It does take a particular personality,
Bra satt!
calm, cool, and collected personality.
And there's plenty of people who have played for decades who don't play fourth because they just don't like it.
13! Bra! Eller långt ut!
To the rings for one
Långsamt
person.
menar jag.
Very nice throw from him. Just change the angle, go over to the other side of the sheet. Give Korea a new path to figure out.
He will follow him down that side. It's as straight as possible, hit and roll. Manages, does it? Or doesn't it? It doesn't. Hang around.
It does not.
A sigh there from Lee Hyun-cho.
13!
13.
Ones and twos, fairly low
Ganska
scoring
mycket
at the
ute nu.
moment. This bronze medal game.
Jag står för långt fram.
Yeah, neither team willing to make the move at the moment. Sometimes it feels a little bit like one of the road cycling races. It's a long way, and if you make a move too early, that can be catastrophic.
Bra.
When you make a move, you need it to be decisive. So I think we'll still see a reasonably conservative end here in this fourth.
The other thing that can change everything is a mistake.
Absolutely.
And that can change the plan.
Lite hård.
The next thrower.
Håll vid.
So just wanted to try to use that Korean stone as a little bit of backing there.
Nästa.
And a really good effort from Ronnie Persson.
It was worth a go, wasn't it?
Absolutely. The freeze, so just freezing that yellow on top of the red, that is the most difficult shot in curling, as opposed to same again, please. That's more of a jokey, difficult shot. But yeah, the freeze, very difficult. Because you really can't be a little bit too long, you can't be a little bit short, you can't be a little bit left or right. It is very difficult, and particularly to achieve without sweepers to help, just increases that degree of difficulty again.
Gentle weight here. He's going to edge in.
Yeah, a bit of target practice for Korea. Always good to just keep that weight in your pocket, make sure you can still just throw to that area ahead of T-line. So the front rings, that's the key area that you want to control.
Ut en del. Där ja. Bra Macka.
Det är bra.
Marcus straight down this centre line.
8-6. Bra.
Team liked it as soon as they released it. And I think that yellow may be touching.
Control, having a quick look.
Any part of the stone touching any part of the rings, that is a scoring stone. And if that stone is still lying around at the conclusion of the end, if the teams can't decide if it's in or out, there is a special measuring device. It's just a single long arm. And it sweeps all the way around the outside circle, and if it touches the stone, it's in. If it doesn't touch the stone, it's out.
And Korea think it's well in, so they want to remove it all the same. Get rid of the problem. Job of Jean Kwang.
So we will never know if that stone was in or out. Korea thinking it was in. I think it was in. Either way, too dangerous to leave it lying around. But look what's happened. There was a red stone now that Sweden can use as a guard. And that's what you were saying, Alison, about just switching it up mid-game. Sweden happy to keep this defensive. But now that they've got that half shot from Korea, left a guard lying around. Now they're switching it up a bit. Yeah, let's see if we can get a stone in behind cover.
Yep, that's what he's after. Draw weight here. Marcus home.
13-9, 13-8.
The line is super. Just going to come up a bit short. And from a highly defensive end, we have all of a sudden switched into more aggressive stuff.
Shakes his head there. Don't want to be in the house and round behind that red Korean stone. Just coming short. Long can change the decision of your opponent.
Yeah, the pressure's on Sweden really in this end. They're the ones that are supposed to do something with that last stone advantage. And it was their choice to go defensive. That's fine. But now just a couple of half shots, and all of a sudden, a blank end looking much less likely.
잘 온다. 좋아.
Stones each to go.
좋아.
Skip the 4 stones. This one's coming in, and it's looking quite weighty.
I think it's going to stop though.
2초 3.
It's just going to hang on. So that forces Sweden to do something about it. Quite a nice position for Korea to be in. All they really want to do is just force the issue with Sweden.
Vad tror du om 3?
Ja. Kanske jättelite mindre bara.
Ja.
Vi kör 13.
Just moving the game just a little bit further in there. Adjusting the brush. Look how long it is
Kom igen då.
from one end
Lite
to the
ute.
other.
Bra.
It's about 45 meters.
Just makes you realise just how precise
Oh, absolutely.
these wheelchair curlers are. Beginning to curl a little bit now.
The line is lovely here.
Oh, it's coming round
Come on, curler.
beautifully.
Här
Beautifully.
är Emilio.
And that will do nicely for Pettersson Dahl and Sweden asking the question, asserting their authority on this end.
There is space for Korea to follow though, so that neutralises that Korean shot nicely. There is space for Korea to follow. But aggressive tactic, it's always high risk, high reward. If anything goes wrong,
화이팅!
Korea could be looking at 2 points for Sweden here.
This is his final stone for Korea.
웨이트만.
Huti,
괜찮아. 웨이트.
similar line to the Swedish stone.
웨이트는 괜찮아.
Coming round,
Looks pretty good.
coming round, and it's just going to
Is it going to
settle
curl
on
enough
top.
though? Is it going to curl enough? It's not.
It seemed to straighten up there, and it bounces on.
조금.
And that Swedish stone is sitting pretty, counting for. Look at that, it just it was
Slips
curling
fast.
nicely, and then it just seemed to somehow straighten up a little bit.
Den
Well.
har du.
From a defensive start, Sweden have a huge opportunity. At this level, they will not get a better opportunity than this.
It's nice and open for them. And he's been down that line before. He knows the pathway,
Lite ute.
he
Bra.
knows the weight. Now it's about the execution.
He does have a bit of a cushion at the back there. His own yellow.
Kom
Just in
igen
front
då.
of those reds. Yeah, you don't want to be short here. Keep going. You don't want to be short. It's not short. This looks
For
fine.
two. This is for two for Sweden.
This looks perfect. I don't think he even needs the backing.
Kom igen då.
It's coming in. It's coming
That's a
in.
wonderful throw from Viljo Pettersson Dahl.
Excellent draw to secure Sweden's 2
Det är bra,
points.
Mackan.
It kind of came out of nowhere a little bit. Probably a little bit unexpected, but he had to make sure of it. Good stuff from Sweden.
Yeah,
High
that's
fives.
a great way to finish the first half. It will be Sweden, I think, who are a little bit more positive going into the half-end break.
After 4, Korea 2,
Jag lägger
Sweden
kvasten
3
här, Viljo.
into the lead for the first time.
Vad sa du? Ja, verkligen. Vet inte.
39 hade jag varit.
Here's the story of Sweden's performance so far. Some pretty nice throwing there, and look at that accuracy for Viljo Pettersson Dahl.
And also the lead player.
Absolutely.
Kiki Yolander as
She
well.
is setting up her team wonderfully.
en banan.
And Sweden having a superb fourth end there. We go into their halftime break in buoyant mood.
Det är min tur.
Ja. Alltså, vi har en riktigt bra kontroll över matchen. Ja, jag tycker vi spelar...
Ja, det ska vi fortsätta med.
Alltså, det var en grym skjutning av dem i den tredje där. Men annars, vi sätter jättefin press på dem. Ja, det gör vi. Så bra mål, oavsett vilken supersten någon sätter lite hit och dit. Så fortsätt. Det ser jättefint ut.
De gör det någon gång, men...
Jag tycker ni har jobbat bra med adrenalinen, för jag tror att vi har nu minskat farten lite. Jag tror att liksom... Ja, fina nior på mackan där. Ja, exakt. Nej, det känns bra. Vad säger ni då? Ja, det känns bra. Jag tycker vi har kontroll.
Lätt att vara hård, känner jag.
Ja.
Oh ja.
Man vill lite mycket, så det blir liten...
Men vill jag jobba på att dra in?
Lite...
내 테이크야? 그렇게 본 거야.
There's the story of Korea's game. Look at that percentage again for that man at third, Nam Bong Kwan. He is doing everything he can to set his team up. Really still anyone's game out there. Very accurate from both sides.
Maybe 1 point down, but it's absolutely no bearing. It's a really even game, as we expected.
Yeah, I think this one is going to go the distance.
이역을 왜 못해? 쉽게 가야 된다고. 저거 우리가 잘못 들어가면 쟤네 하나 붙여놓고 또 실패하면은 2점이라고. 그러니까 우리는 반대쪽 어려운 쪽으로 가야 된다고. 어려운 쪽으로. 쉬운 쪽은 다 돼 얘네들. 다시 한번 해봐요. 센터로 들어가면 안 돼. 지금 런백 때리는 것도 이거 안 됐으면 3점짜리야.
Rätt och notta.
Snyggt!
No scoring first half of this game. First end was blanked, and then in the third, this ended up being a fabulous 2 for Korea. Good set-up play. Getting this one into position just at the back of the 12-foot for Korea. Didn't look to be a bother until this man going forth. Look at this shot for 2. Almost out of nowhere, securing 2 points. And then in the fourth end,
Kom igen, kölla då.
perhaps an unlikely 2 transpired for Sweden. This one from Korea, just nudging up against the Swedish yellow, but not in counting position, and that allowed Dahl to draw for 2.
Kom igen
Give
då!
Sweden lead. 2 first 4 ends. All to Winkle in part 2.
Game overview. They had nothing to pick between the two teams. Interesting though that it's Korea who are slightly stronger on the draws. It's Sweden who are slightly stronger on the takeouts. And I wonder if that will become important later. Who said that there's typically draws, those that land in the rings. That's what wins the games these days. Let's see how the tactics switch up in the second half.
What do you think the coaches will be saying to the players right now?
I think both coaches, honestly, will be saying more of the same, please. That was the Korean coach. I may be having a word about that third end. That was all over the place to get their 2 points.
Bra.
Kändes bra.
End number 5. This bronze medal game.
Kanske lite
2 lead
rask.
for Sweden. Korea.
12, 7.
And Korea
Bra,
off the
Kiki.
hammer.
Härligt!
Aggressive will this end turn out to be?
We are about to find out.
Ja, det är bra.
So now it's Sweden asking the question. They put the stone straight into the rings. That yellow from Kiki Ulander, not protected by a free guard zone. If Korea wish to, they can remove that yellow. That would tell us that They're more interested in keeping things clear.
이거는 10초 하면 돼요.
They don't want too many stones in play. They want to be defensive.
See what Bang
웨이트 빼지 마세요.
The other option is to throw a stone for Bang Mincha into the free guard zone. That would be a protected stone, not allowed to remove. That would tell us that Korea wanting to switch things up, play more aggressively.
웨이트.
괜찮아, 잘 가야 잘.
굿샷.
right into the house. Conservative approach at the moment.
많이 잡은 것 같아서 그릇이 안쪽 갔어요. 많이 쉽죠.
Let's think about objectives then in this fifth end. In the second half of the game now, we play 8 ends. So we're in the second half. Both teams will really be plotting a path to the win from here. Now, if you are Korea, you currently have last stone advantage. You are 1 point behind, but that last stone advantage is a big deal. And if you're Korea, you may say to yourself, well, there are 4 last stone advantages available for the 4 ends remaining in this game. So if we play defensively here, if we blank the end, so if we score 0 on purpose, we would keep that last stone advantage in the 6th end. Probably give last stone advantage to Sweden in the 7th end, but then it would be Korea who have last stone advantage again in the 8th. So we really call that playing the scoreboard, and Korea will be planning ahead now to the 8th end, and that could be informing their defensive strategy here.
You want the even ends.
That's right.
And the 8.
To make sure you have the final say in this game.
Straight down the middle. Goes about to the edge. 4 foot. The trading hits again.
Sweden will know that. They will also be plotting a path to the conclusion of the 8th end. Sweden happy to play along with the defensive stuff here in the 5th. And typically in an 8-end game, it's the 6th end that ends up being complicated, thoughtful, decisive.
The turning point.
Very much, I often think of the 6th end
Kändes okej.
as indeed the turning point.
Kanske lite
By the
tajt.
time we finished it, we had 2 ends left only, and I feel like we're in the home straight, as if we were on a running track. We're turning the corner into the home straight, and after the 6th end, your strategy for 7 and 8 is typically very clear what needs to happen.
Hit and a slight roll for Ronnie Persson. Seems to be the format. These few stones here. Concentration level is still important though. He doesn't give too much away, does he?
All the teams just fully focused out there.
Really are. Like nothing else is happening in the world. It's all about right now.
Sure.
Which is as it should be. The shots always get a nice round of applause from the crowd, don't they?
It's always satisfying to hear the stones go bang.
Ones and twos on that scoreboard. 0s, 1s and 2s. Nothing to choose between these two teams. Ronnie Persson. Focus.
Känns okej.
Ja, det är bra.
Lite tajt kanske.
Hur är farten då?
Feeling okay about it?
9-4.
Kom igen då.
Or is he?
Well, hasn't caught enough. That just seemed to catch them out a bit, the curl there.
He was okay on release, certainly. He seemed quite confident.
Kom igen
And
då.
just whiffed off to the right there.
Just curling past too much. So we saw this a little bit in the 4th end as well. We started off defensively, but then there was just a couple of loose shots, leaving stones in play, and suddenly it was a more aggressive style, and that's exactly what's happened here in this 5th end. Korea have a chance now to put a second red counter into play. What they will want is to keep this red counter far away from the other one, try to not give Sweden a chance to remove both at once.
Lee Hyun charge of that task. Ideally,
This needs to stop.
level.
That is going to hang on. Yes, it is.
So yeah, far enough apart.
The double takeout is there. But first things first. Not the end of the world for Sweden, even if Korea do score 2 in this fifth end. Not the end of the world. That would put Korea 1 point ahead, but critically, it would be Sweden then with last stone advantage. They would then be dictating the tactics in the sixth end.
Bra! Sitter ute lite.
He's been very accurate with these throws, Marcus Holm. Important to remember as well that the percentages that we're seeing here,
The hit and the roll. Oh, I thought he was going to get the other one.
is very close.
That would have been a bonus. That first port of call was disposing of one.
Doing a nice steady job at 3, Marcus Holm. And important to remember when we see these percentages is that they don't take into account the fact that the wheelchair players don't have sweeping, making the shots more difficult. We're using upper body power, so truly remarkable accuracy from Nam Bong Kwang. I know
Really
plenty
is.
of foot players who would be delighted with that level of accuracy.
It's going to be right at the back. It's going to hang on.
And again, I can only apologise to Nam for seeing how wonderfully he's been playing. And then he's just a centimetre too long on that one. Well, lucky you, Sweden.
Ja, den är ute.
Just having a quick look.
Niklas!
The red spot, I think.
Är den ute den andra? Ja.
It's the first mistake he's made.
Kom igen, den har du Mackan. Den är din.
You feel though this game is going to come down to 1 or 2
Niklas.
shots like that. One of the teams is just going to be a few centimetres short or long.
Sweden will concentrate on that Korean red on your right.
Lite här. Bra. Känns lite här.
Marcus Holm.
Kalla upp då. Kalla upp då.
That's more like it.
Ja, det är bra Mackan.
Det är bra
Det är
Mackan,
bra.
8-6!
I wonder though if that stone, the first throw from Nam Bong Kwang, you can use that as a bit of a cushion now. If he can land a red stone right in front of that, it could be difficult for Sweden to remove.
Could add something into the mix for sure.
Kanske vi ska gå.
Certainly knows the weight now. Knows the backing and the line. Here it comes. Just going to make sure it's in and above the tee line.
Lovely throw from Nam.
He's back on track.
And that's found a good spot. That red is still behind it, the red that he threw with his first shot. So Sweden get their angle wrong here. That red could potentially catch this shot.
It's low, that one at the back.
Niklas.
It's not counting, it is still in play.
Bra!
Still have a function.
And again, look at those percentages for Vilo Petersen Dahl.
Tycker den sitter bra.
He's not going to go home wondering either. Determined to leave his best shots out there.
8-6!
And there's another one. And from one he makes sure there is no more cushion for the Korean stones.
Expertly done from the Swedish skip. Away go the two Korean problems, or potential problems.
A modest raise of his arm there to acknowledge another super shot from the Swedish skip. Tough for both teams to pick themselves up from semi-final. That was earlier on today, and tough for the teams to pick themselves up quickly and really get in the mood for this bronze medal game. But both teams determined to finish on a high here, and you have to say, I think both teams really are. I shall be disappointed and sad for whoever doesn't win this game, because both teams are really giving us quite a demonstration here.
Long hit. Clearance from Yang. Witwe. Blank canvas at the moment. Certainly suit Korea more than Sweden.
This is an interesting situation if you want to try to hide a stone in plain sight. Somewhat personal preference, but I think the best place to put it is just off centre in the front of the 8 foot. And then your opposition has to decide, do they want to hit it or do they want to outdraw it?
Kändes lite tunt det där, Kiki.
Filip Pettersson will be delighted to just keep having some time to practice that one. Just coming up a bit short though.
Lite tunt. Ja, exakt.
Different tactics from different teams here. Some teams would just want to throw the stone through, blank the end, make sure they can count in the next end in the even ends. Looks like Korea maybe just going for a score of 1 here, another 1 on the scoreboard. Or is it all the way through?
Yeah, this is the most sensible conclusion to a defensive end. That's the deliberate blank. That's how I would expect Korea to finish off a defensive end like that. So that's not a mistake from them. That was on purpose.
So 0-0. And it means Korea will retain the hammer and build a score.
끝까지 잡아주라고.
Bronze medal game after 5. Korea 2, Sweden 3.
공격 한번 들어가 보고 하고 있어.
짝수 엔드니까 점수 먹는 게 나아.
우리가 다 좋은데 던질 때 혼자만의 생각으로 던지지 말고 몇 초면 좋겠어 한 번씩만 물어봅시다. 나도 그렇고 형도 그렇고 웨이트 우리가 그
1 or 2 chances in this end. A score, a good score, at least a couple. But in the end, making the decision to blanket no score, retain the hammer into the 6th end, hope to score there, and let Sweden get a little score in 7 and then finish it off with the hammer in the 8th. That's kind of the plan.
That is exactly what Korea want. As we thought, that was informing their defensive strategy there in the 5th end. There are 3 last stone advantages left for the 3 ends that we have left to play. And let's see, this looks again like a stone from Kiki Ulander that's going to land in the rings.
Number 6 in this bronze medal game, nothing. He's saying all the way through, nothing to choose between these 2 teams.
That's again the question for Korea. Will we see a switch up in tactics now? Right idea from Sweden. Their +1 shot. So let's just put a stone in the house, put a stone in the rings. Let's see what Korea does. And this could be either from the position of the brush. Big push there from Bang Min-ya. This is a defensive response here.
So a slight roll. They're not giving too much away as yet.
Korea are running out of ends for this sort of thing. It's not easy
Kom igen då.
to blank the 6th end and the 7th end and then take your chance in the 8th end. Blanking 3 ends in a row, not straightforward.
Kändes bra.
Kändes bra.
I'm a little bit surprised. I thought we might see Korea be a bit more aggressive here in the 6th end. It doesn't make too much sense for them to be aggressive in the 7th end, because then they're simply handing last thrown advantage to Sweden for the 8th end. So I thought we might see a bit of a move from Korea here.
Bra.
Well, it can change if somebody makes a mistake.
The other possibility, depending on how things work in the 6th end, we may see a more aggressive start from Sweden, just trying to force the issue with Korea. The more aggressive start for Sweden would be to throw a stone for Kiki Ulander in the free guard zone rather than into the rings. That would certainly ask a more pressing question of Korea.
On the right-hand side.
And this is again, this is rather a baffling strategy again from Korea for me. They could have done that the last time. There was a stone from Kiki Ulander in the rings. They could quite happily have thrown a guard into free guard zone with the first stone from Bang Minja, but they chose to remove it. A second throw in the rings for Kiki Ulander.
Yeah.
And an aggressive response, so that this is some quite baffling tactics for Korea for me. They are moving dangerously a little bit.
And Ronnie, for Sweden, Ronnie Persson will try and get one around that top guard.
Okay.
Håller nog ganska bra.
15-3.
Det är bra Ronny. Bra Ronny.
Yeah.
Long guard protecting that yellow that Sweden already have in the rings.
Maybe Korea realised that it maybe wasn't going to help them out to be defensive here. Maybe they just made a bit of a mistake about the stage of the game.
Maybe they didn't want to go too soon. Waiting to see what Sweden did. But they have the hammer.
Yeah, and Sweden putting a guard on now, and that is an aggressive statement.
살짝 타야 조금.
Cho.
I did find Korea's tactics a bit baffling in the 3rd end, and they popped up with a magnificent 2.
Hitting a roll undercover. This is looking good for Korea.
10초 3.
Excellent shot. Showing a bit more creativity and innovation now. Gelled into action after that. The card went up.
A lovely throw from Lee there from Korea. And importantly as well, that is now distracting Sweden. That prevents Sweden from playing around that dangerous centre guard that they have. That drags the play away from the centre. And that favours Korea.
Chasing down this right-hand side. That Korean stone. And sticks. Korea can see plenty of it from the other end. Poking out a little bit.
Not an easy throw though from Ronnie Persson, throwing away from centre. That's typically a less used path than towards the centre, so good for him just hitting and sticking that shot.
센터 잡아도 될 것 같은데.
좁지 않아? 안 좁아요. 지금 인아웃 아웃 떨어져요. 인아웃 아웃 떨어지는데 툭 맞는 웨이트로 2초 반이면 되겠어요.
Both teams still have a 1-minute timeout.
2초 초반.
괜찮아요.
2초 반.
You mostly see the teams using timeout towards the end of the game here from the 6th end onwards.
And also there's the clock at the back. How long we've got between throws. Thinking time. Same pathway. It's going to peak start here. No, it's not.
Safely round.
Little roll would be good.
Has found a decent spot because it's really well in behind that cover. So that red representing danger for Sweden. But it is still that yellow that's lying short. So a couple of options here for Sweden. Difficult to really remove that red. And potentially the best defence here is getting a second yellow in. Asking the question that way.
Yeah, man.
Lite ute. Bra!
Let's see what Marcus Holm can come up with here.
Satt bra.
It's well-trodden path down the right-hand side.
And indeed that's stone curling towards the centre. Sweden just ignoring that red counter. Getting a second yellow in instead.
Making sure of the draw. And some power behind that long yellow guard at the top.
That's a superb throw from Marcus Holm.
Really nicely done. And manoeuvring it gently into position on that centre line, just above the button.
So the red on the side of the sheet there, that red is really nicely placed. But if Korea want to bring it back into play, they now have to do something about both those yellows.
오케이. 웨이트만.
웨이트.
웨이트만.
잘 간다. 웨이트.
웨이트만.
Korean team need one. This is it. This could be the turning point in this end. Some sticks. The counting stone. It looks fairly exposed.
Yeah, just throws a little bit towards that centre. Sweden will see most of that stone. But be careful here, Sweden. This looks like a big weight coming here, and this yellow has to hang around. I do not want to see a hit and roll out here. The same shot again would be okay. Forcing Korea to take one at this point. That's okay for Sweden. This yellow has to hang around after this throw.
Sitta ut lite. Se om den hinner komma något.
Big weight. It's straight. Is it true? It's away. Sweden still counting, I think.
Yeah, the problem though is that Sweden only has one yellow now in the house.
우리가 몇 번이야?
They really needed to keep that yellow hanging around. I would have preferred to see a much slower weight at that.
들어가는 거 별로야.
Make sure that they had a yellow sticking around, potentially behind cover.
티아 피어도 돌려서 때리고.
It is yellow still lying, but that yellow is wide open.
더블각이 나와서 위험해서 그래. 백으로 오면 더 돌려치기 쉽고 그냥 어차피 형 떨어지는 각 다 알았으니까.
Chat from the green skip there, showing his instructions.
Well, again, different options here. I'm not sure I like this call from Korea either. That red is, sorry, the yellow. That's towards the back of the rings. It is lying short. Well, Sweden, they're never going to guard that yellow. All Sweden are going to do is just try and wrap another stone around that centre guard. So this is fine for Korea, but there is now plenty of space for Sweden to wrap around the centre guard again. So a little bit naive tactics from both teams there.
Important to keep a stone in play in the counting zone.
And again, be careful here, Sweden.
Niklas!
We need a yellow lying around after this.
We're on to the fourth stones, the skip stones. Business end. of the end.
Kom igen, den har du.
Lot still to play out here. This sixth end. Korea with the hammer.
Hela vägen.
Inne!
The yellow stones.
Bra.
Let's see where this one goes.
Never taking his eyes off it, Hilo Petersen Dahl.
Straight as anything.
Niklas 3! Bra William! Snyggt!
And that is critical that there's still a yellow lying around.
Good execution from the skip.
Certainly roll partially behind cover. I don't think Korea can see much of that, and they would be coming up a far less used path, and indeed Korea sticking to that clockwise handle. And that's where that stone landed. Yeah, that's buried in behind that guard. That's a fine throw from the Swedish skipper.
Yep, that could be the telling stone in this end.
The whole stadium silent.
This is the only match in town.
괜찮아요.
Play
웨이트만 충분히 떨어져요.
first of his two stones.
잘 온다. 웨이트.
Certainly around the
너무
guard.
세다.
It's not going to curl enough though.
That was the danger. That was so well protected. It was just too far over. He needed to keep it. Yeah, the curl coming around, but goodness me.
Yeah, both teams throwing too much weight at these. If you're going to throw a big weight like that, you need to
Kom
be
igen, den har du.
very accurate.
Advantage Sweden.
Hela vägen vill jag. 13.
Bra!
Really did the business with that previous draw. And it
Lite där kanske.
4%
Det är bra.
game accuracy.
Yeah, there are plenty of foot players with sweepers to help them. Using leg drive, who would love to have such accurate play as Filio Petersen Dahl, who has neither.
Snyggt!
It's into the house. And it's counting for two, and Sweden have two sitting pretty in this sixth end.
Both behind cover.
Smiles from the teammates.
Look at that.
What can Korea come up with here?
오히려 점수가 돼요. 2개 반
I sense
잡아요.
a timeout could be coming.
범퍼 2개 반.
I don't think this is the call, Korea. I think you just have to accept that you made some
2개 반 살짝 안쪽.
silly
괜찮아요.
decisions in this end and just draw for one here.
범퍼.
Quite sure
So
what he's
it is.
asked of Yang Hyu Tae. He's shown he's very capable.
He's been asked for a difficult shot here, though. He needs to throw this with enough weight to move that yellow,
이렇게 약해야 돼요.
but not enough weight to roll out himself.
This is the last stone of this sixth end. Trying to save something, trying to salvage something, Korea. And unable to, nudges the yellow. And it's a steal of two. Poor outcome if you're a Korean fan. Look at that.
That was great pressure from Sweden. Yeah, big smiles for them.
How significant will that end
That is
turn
a
out
huge
to be?
steal. Wait till you see this score.
After six, Korea 2, Sweden 5.
Det är bra. Det är bra. Det är bra.
Vi drar in.
It's
Tackar.
almost like Korea were caught out somehow.
In i båt.
Yeah, they seemed a little bit lost tactically on that end. I think with Nam Bong Kwang's first throw, they elected to just remove the yellow that was sitting at the back. That yellow wasn't a danger to them. The yellow that was causing them trouble was that centre guard. And look what happened. A skip's deuce from Viljo Pettersson-Dahl.
Too much really to do.
Yeah, we said
Stone.
that was a hard shot to throw with enough weight to move the yellow, but not roll out yourself, Pearl enough. And indeed, too difficult for Korea, and they're in trouble now.
There's the numbers for you, and how significant will that steal be in number 6 as we approach in number 7.
Bra!
Sweden picking up a fabulous steal of 2, so they steal points when you get points even though you didn't have last stone. And this is a perfect start.
Yep.
Now, Korea from here, they have no choice. They have to be aggressive. We are in the home straight. We have 2 ends left to play. Objectives very clear here. 3-point gap at this level is not trivial.
However, I watched a game this morning where Canada scored 3 to win the game in the last end. And
Sweden
down.
Yeah, Sweden need to be careful. Sweden, they need to not get ahead of themselves. That's a superb end they just played in the 6th. Absolutely forcing the issue and stealing 2 points as a reward. But they need to not get ahead of themselves. They need to just keep things clear here. Korea have to play aggressive. That means guards, that means stones in play. Therefore, Sweden, they just want to do the reverse. And unfortunately for Bang Minja, that is not quite what she wanted. She needed that stone protected by 3 guard zone.
Stone removed.
Niklas!
Korea want stones in play, stones they can play with, they can shape.
Utsida!
Ja. Känns det bra?
Confidence booster for Sweden on that last end.
Oh, absolutely, that man in your picture, he has been pulling rabbits out of hats for this team for many years now, and doing the same again in that 6th end. Yolander, she just wants to see this Korean stone disappear, please. She has connected. Oh, well done, that lady. Nice throw from her.
Good clearance. Just do the simple things well, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Don't need to be too fancy at this stage.
And Korea, they're in the most difficult position of all, tactically speaking. They cannot let Sweden get any further ahead. They cannot let Sweden score in the 7th end. Otherwise, they would really be giving themselves a mountain to climb. So they can't really afford to remove Swedish stones. They need to keep red stones in play. But they also, they need to get some points on the board here. They are almost certain to give up last stone advantage to Sweden. It is too late to be defensive for Korea. It would be very naive to play defensively this end, blank the end, and think you can get 3 points with last stone advantage in the 8th end. Too late for that.
Draw into the house for the lead player. And the yellow behind her.
Känns bra.
Exposed at the top there.
Yeah, again, that stone was better in the free guard zone. You need to have courage at this point, Korea. Things not quite going your way. You are going to be facing difficult shots, but you still have to be tactically sensible if you're going to get back into this game. And they needed that stone in the free guard zone, really.
Kändes okej.
Kändes bra. Hold off.
Hold off. Hold off. Hold off.
Red one.
Got away with it, Korea.
Promotes the Korean stone and kind of guarding it a little bit.
Yeah, they could see that coming once the stone started to curl there.
Still early in the end.
너무 타이트라.
Well, and to be honest, a score of 1 red, that's fine for Sweden. That would make the overall score 5-3. And Korea would give up last stone advantage in the 8th end, so not the end of the world at all. In fact, that's a decent outcome for Sweden in the 7th end, a score of -1. So 1 point to Korea. That suits Sweden very well indeed.
The second, Lee Hyun-chul aiming wide. A bit further over, he says. Now he's happy. Watching and waiting. Be aware of that yellow on the top there.
Ooh, that's the kind of shot I wish I could just have dropped a couple of sweepers onto the ice, and they would surely have swept that stone around. But important is a second red.
It's still biting there, counting.
Critical for Korea to keep stones in play here.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't see an issue with just trying to do the same again there. Yellow onto red, and worst case, you will open up access.
Again, keeping it clean.
Ja.
Keeping it simple.
Well, I hope they are. I'll tell you what I don't want to see is just trying to draw onto that red. That would be a very tactically silly decision.
Det är bra.
Bra.
See what Ronnie does here for Sweden.
I don't mind just playing on your yellow, maybe just splitting the yellow, pinging it either side and opening up access. This is not what they want at all, though.
15-2.
Yeah, you need to hit for home from here, Sweden. Don't get involved in playing Korea's aggressive game. You need to hit for home.
Well, by the way, he wasn't happy with it.
더블 맞을 수도 있는데 이쪽으로 탭은 어때요? 지금 탭 보기는 좀 빠른 것 같아. 그냥 들어오는 게 나을 것 같아.
뒤로 돌려 그럼
이쪽 아니면 이쪽이 가장 좋을 것 같은데. 그럼 그 뒤로 커면 안 되겠는데.
Both teams do still have their timeout. They're both fine for time. They've both got plenty of time left.
앞에 서도 돼.
9
그러니까
minutes
했던
for
대로
Korea
커면
there.
어때? 아니면
12 for Sweden.
잠깐 여기서 타임만 봅시다. 그래?
I think their best idea is to use that red that they just threw.
일단 탭 한번 하고
They don't need to
하죠.
punch it back very far, and then it will be behind cover out front there.
Promote it, yep.
That's what they don't want to get involved in Korea, is trying to work so hard to get 3 points that they get themselves into a bit of a muddle. Even getting 2 is really critical that Korea get 2 points here, and they have a very makeable chance to be sitting 2 at the end of this shot, and I think they should take it.
But once the decision is made for the shot, the thrower has to be confident of making it.
That is also true. Sometimes it comes down to a personal preference. I've often said there's typically not a right or wrong shot in curling. It's often about aggressive tactic or defensive, or a personal preference where the player's confident. It's such a confidence game.
How's this looking?
No.
Promotes the wrong stone.
Well, lucky you, Sweden.
그럼 물렸어요.
Got away with a mistake.
Wasn't far away, but enough.
And Korea, they need to pull themselves together out there.
Alltså, gör som förra. Som förra
helping
stenen
themselves.
som Ronny drog.
Bra! 12.
Samma igen!
Yeah, I like that. Let's just
12-5.
Vad tror du med ismackan?
either try
Räcker
to
det?
spring the yellow back onto red, or just move that yellow.
Det är bara lite hårdare än drag.
Ja, kör där. 12-5.
Bra.
Those reds, though, still dangerous on the right of our screen. And still punch those forward.
They might have another go at that.
Yeah, I have an idea. I may even have preferred a shot over on the left of our screen here. Remove that dangerous red on the furthest left.
home for Sweden.
Hennes något tajt. Tryck centern då.
Vad säger du?
Kan ju trycka centern.
Here it comes.
Ja.
This weight looks
11,6
better.
sa jag.
Coming round now.
Det är
Punching
bra.
his other two
Det
stones.
är bra.
That is a nice outcome.
Vändan snyggt.
So what that has done is it just punched his own stone. Here it comes. He connects with both of them. Just punches that stone back towards the forefoot. And remember, we said that one red is a great result for Sweden here in the 7th end. And what that yellow there just being punched closer to centre, that makes it harder to use those reds at the top of the screen on the right-hand side. That makes it harder to get those into scoring position from here.
Is he going to have another go with those reds? No. He's going down the other side.
He thinks there's a direct path to get to that yellow. Just punched into second position by Sweden.
And it is Nam Bong. So
They need a little bit of his magic urgently, Korea.
they really do. They're really on the back foot now, and this is curling. Look at this.
Oh, he's made it beautifully
Look
round the
at
guard.
this.
But he had perfect weight and he's found a great
The
spot.
oohs and ahs in the crowd. We just didn't quite know how that would finish, where it would finish. It just was teasing us, wasn't it, all the way through.
He had perfect weight though. And it's found a lovely spot. So danger building a little bit for Sweden here.
Till samtidigt.
How on earth did it find its way through there?
Niklas.
Good play from
Inte hårdare
Korea.
utan Niklas räcker.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes the best form of defence is a better attack, but that is
Känns isen bra?
rather a more risky strategy.
Ja.
And Sweden could do with just settling the ship here, steady the ship,
Bra.
get rid of one of these reds.
Good work of Korea could be undone in a heartbeat here from Marcus Holm.
Håll då!
Ja, den kommer lite mycket nu.
I'm not sure about this one.
Någonting händer ju.
Mistake from Sweden. Gosh, is there more drama in this end yet?
Well, to a large extent, if you're already committed to attack being the best form of defence, then just stick to it. Don't switch it up. The other way works okay. If you were being defensive and you switch it up to being aggressive, that can work. But the other way around, as Sweden tried there,
아까 웨이트 좋아요.
that can often lead to trouble.
Nam Bong Kwang again. Being asked to step up, get his team into an even better position.
Well, even a score of 3 red is not the end of the world. In fact, even a score of 4 red is not the end of the world. But it is currently Sweden who need to pull themselves
Look
together.
at this one, look at this one.
What a shot.
Into position, joining the trio of reds. An excellent, excellent shot from Nam Bong Kwang, leading the way in this team.
Lovely weight again from Nam Bong Kwang. Just redirecting off that yellow. But for goodness sake, Sweden, you need to remove some reds here.
To the skipped stones, the fourth.
Spelar den ganska hårt. 7-5.
7-5.
And it
Kan du
can all
riva
change
bägge
quite
menar jag?
quickly.
Eller alla tre?
Yeah, those reds in nice position, but somewhat close together.
Typ chapp är det.
There is a route
Den
in,
har du.
isn't there?
Precis.
Looks
Inte
clear.
jättemycket
Heading
is.
in there.
Där är bra, va?
Ja.
Ligger lite där.
About the
Bra.
angle.
Är du nöjd med isen?
And Sweden, they would love to connect with those reds and leave this yellow
Kom igen
shooter.
då. Den har du.
The yellow
Sträck ut.
You'd bet,
currently on the arm of Viljo Pettersson Dahl. Leave this yellow lying around as well.
you'd bet on him making this, though, the way he's been playing.
Kom igen då.
We heard enough.
Köll upp då.
I think he's got it though. He's certainly connecting with something. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Hit some rolls.
Korea can't really afford to guard
Ligger
here. They
de
may
om de
do.
inte
They may
stänger
say to
målet
themselves,
här.
we're lying 2. Let's try to protect 2. Yeah, still the centre wide open.
들어 하나.
And yeah, if they were ever going to call a coach interaction, I would do it now and make sure we're making a good decision
들어
here.
하나까지. 들어
They are
하나까지.
3 down here, running out of ends.
The other option would be to play something similar to what Nan Dongguan was aiming for.
12반.
So not really towards the centre, but
12반
just away
괜찮아요.
from the centre, in behind cover on the left of our screen. That would be the other option. Challenge Sweden to make a double take-out. And if they don't,
조금만.
then you could still be in a good position for 3.
Important stone for young Yutui,
괜찮아요. 웨이트만.
as they all are.
Throwing the guard here. You are pretty much accepting scoring 2. You don't really have as much of a chance to score 3.
2초 9.
Maybe that's exactly what they were doing, is just wrapping one around off centre here. He's found a good spot again.
It has, and it's counting, but it's vulnerable.
근데 뒤에 거
Good draw weight. Yang Yutui just gliding that one in nicely.
Spela 8 där.
Ja, men där tror jag.
Exakt.
Skiter.
So he wants to simply remove as many reds as he can here, Julio Pettersson Dahl. Even a score of 3 reds, not the end of the world. That would simply level the score, and Sweden would have last stone.
Spelare försöker få dubbeln på.
And you would
Removing
always
as many
take
as he
that one.
can. Absolutely, yes, yeah.
8!
Removing as many as he can, limits the damage.
Tap on the shoulder from Persson. You can do this skip. Sing.
På sidan. Ja. Ja, men det är bra. Kom igen då.
Hundreds and hundreds of times during training, of course.
Yeah, there
This is a different stage.
There is no shot he will look at that he hasn't played before
Bra!
multiple times, but absolutely, typically not playing a shot in front of hundreds of fans.
This is his final stone. Trying to limit the number of points Korea might get. Here he goes. Shuffles them around. Look at that. 2 are gone. 1 is counting. Big smiles all round. Well played skip, says
Look at
Marcus
this, it's
Holm.
around the clock.
Bang, 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 bang. And away they go.
Maximum then, 2 reds available for Korea. Wonderful throw from Pettersson Dahl. He is determined to finish on a positive note here.
똑같이 하면 되지 뭐.
형 좀 너무 많은 것
Living
같은데.
dangerously a bit there, Sweden, in this end. But
형
Pettersson
10만
Dahl
잡을게 10만.
getting them out
이
of trouble,
스톤이 좀 이상한 것
as
같아.
he's been doing all competition.
Now, a very important draw here for Korea. They need the 2 points to have any chance, really realistic chance.
Big difference, yeah. To score 2 here, they would be -1, and stealing 1 point. Yeah, that's a realistic setup. Stealing 2 points from Sweden in the 8th end. That is quite a different proposition.
Final stone then.
This looks nice.
7th end.
Just wants to do the same as he did with his
Just
first stone. This looks super.
Gliding it into the button.
Perfect.
And well played, under quite a bit of pressure there to secure those 2 points, Korea. Well played to Yang Yutui. All in a day's work, he says. He can do it in his sleep. No pressure. And so it is 2 for Korea. They have made a bit of an inroad on that scoreboard, on that deficit of 3 points. They've reduced it to 1, but we only have 1 end to go.
Yeah, it is still advantage Sweden there.
빨간 거 찝치면 4점인데.
Playing the scoreboard now. Normally you would be a bit unhappy giving up 2, but they don't mind in the 7th end.
돌 3개 나야 돼.
Off to 7
박민호 선수
One
돌
point
2개를
lead
가져놓고
for Sweden
얘네가 분명히
in
뺄
this
수도
bronze
있어요.
medal game.
하나 집어넣고 붙여도 되고 일단
fabulous shots. Seventh end from both sets of players. And springing those all over the place and forcing Korea to draw for two, just 2 points. He's enjoying the action. As we expected, it's going all the way. Here's the numbers for you. It's a 1 point lead, 2s and 1s, no big ends. Of caution really there's been throughout the game. Neither side wanted to make too many mistakes, and it all comes down, as it always does, to the final end. This is the 8th, or it might not be the final end.
Let's see, will it be the final end? Objectives very clear. Korea must score 1 point against the head here. Korea do not have last stone.
It is to stop.
That is not where Bang Min-ja wanted. She needed to get a stone out front, protected by free guard zone. That stone of hers is not protected by free guard zone.
Hela vägen.
The objectives pretty similar for both teams, but how they do it is going to vary completely. Korea must score 1, at least, to keep this game going. Sweden must prevent Korea scoring 1 to take home that bronze medal. And how do they do that? So if you're Velo Peterson-Dahl, what would you like to be looking at with your final throw of this 8th end? And the answer is nothing at all. He would like to have a completely empty field of play. Just throw his last stone for the medal. And if you're Korea, what's your best path to scoring 1 point? At least, well, if you get a red towards the centre and a whole lot of stones out in front of it, that's your best chance to get 1 point here. Make sure that Velo Peterson-Dahl cannot do anything with his last stone. And that is why it was so important for Bang Min-ja to get those stones out front in advance, get those stones out front protected by free guard zone. Found a decent spot, but again,
But it won't be there for long.
no, I think I would prefer both of those shots from Bang Min-ja. Korea needed to use that free guard zone while it's active. Sweden happy to sacrifice any and all of their own stones just to keep things clear. For Velo Peterson-Dahl, he will have the final say in this bronze medal game.
1 point advantage, and they have the hammer, Sweden. Just need to keep it simple. Don't want too much action, don't want too much in play. Do the simple things well.
And Kiki Olander closes her account on this bronze medal match in fine style. She has been absolutely instrumental in setting up these ends for her teammates. This advantage that Sweden have here, there is a direct correlation between that and the outstanding play of Kiki Olander today.
형, 그거 위쪽으로 가든 어때 일단. 8.
Remember what we said about how did Korea get to 1 point from here? Well, they need stones out front. It's very difficult to steal a point, get a shot without last stone if you don't have cover. And the easiest way to achieve that is to put up the guards first, try to get a loose shot from Sweden, maybe hitting the guard on the nose instead of clearing it away. So this is better from Korea.
If it makes it over the hog line.
And oh dear. All of the stone must be over all of the line, and unfortunately that red stone just kind of summing up Korea's experience at the moment.
Yeah, they worked so hard for those 2 points in that previous end. Just not getting the set-up play they need in this 8th end.
That's 3 stones in a row that don't really help them here.
Ja, men ta den då.
Ska vi tajma?
Gör det.
Gör det.
Sweden calling time out. And my suggestion is pretty simple. I would just throw this stone away. They have 1 stone lying in the house. That's all they need. They don't need any more stones in play here. They have 1 stone lying around as an insurance shot.
Ska vi slå bort egen?
If I was them, I would just stick this next throw straight through the back. Ask the question of Korea. He's seen all of this before. Let's listen into what he says.
Den där ligger som en hög...
Ja, nej, vi tar bort den.
De har ju redan varit på och försökt dra runt den.
Så vi tar den.
Så jag tycker att vi lugnt och fint bara pangar bort den.
Vi tar den, lägger dem upp en center, då är det clearing, lägger dem upp en center. Alltså det är ju så vi måste jobba.
Jajamän.
För drar de runt den där, då måste vi slå den ändå.
Ja.
Slå bort den.
Så bort med den och så lugnt och fint bara.
Ja.
Sten för sten. Bra.
Kom igen.
Saying you're on it, guys. Just do what you're doing. I think he just confirmed probably what they were thinking.
Yeah, the other option is to actually remove your own stone here. Because that stone is towards the front of the house, that's a stone that Korea can hide behind. And as we said, Vilo Pettersson-Dahl, with his final throw, he wants to look at nothing.
Ska vi ta den utifrån eller
Any
inifrån?
stone in
Vad är
play
enklast?
is a stone that can help Korea.
Jag tror jag tar den hellre inifrån om det är okej.
Okej.
This
Vilken
is the
fart?
ultra
Ja, det är
defensive
Niklas som
throw,
gäller.
Niklas, då är det där va?
but absolutely valid.
Karla är rätt bra. Bör vi bara träffa tungt?
Ja, kör där.
Bra.
Not very often you will see a stone electing to remove their own. But given the situation here,
You still need to be
Ja.
concise. You still need to do it.
yeah, the last thing they want is anything short. So
Ja, jag tar den.
make sure you give this stone a strong, solid push.
Lite här. Lite. Bra. Bra satt.
One of the most unusual shots in curling then.
Bra
Removing
spel.
your own stone. But that is exactly what we said Vilo Pettersson-Dahl wanted to
Den
see
ligger mycket bättre
with
där.
his final throw. Is
Did he really
nothing
want
in play.
to? Did he want to hang about?
Not really. That is, any stone in play is a stone that Korea can use, but he has certainly greatly improved the situation. It isn't a stone that Korea can now hide behind. And nor is that stone in a position where Korea would expect to be able to steal a point all the way towards the side there. Korea need to keep attacking the centre. And again, the best way to do that is to put a guard first. Try to get a mistake from Sweden, try to get them to leave a guard lying around.
That is a well-placed guard
That's more like it from Korea.
from Lee Hyung-chong.
Ser bra ut. Där.
Still
Nej,
every
gå
stone
där ja.
critical out there.
Clearing.
This will be cleared by Sweden. Lee Persson. Usually highly decorated Paralympian summer and winter. Incredible athlete.
Lite tight.
Ja, jag märkte det.
He doesn't like it. It did look
Curla
like
över då.
stone wobbled a bit on release.
Curla över då.
Corrects itself though, so
That is fine from Ronnie Persson.
even with a wobble,
And again, that yellow over to the left of our screen, that will not be important later on. Vilo Pettersson-Dahl already mentally preparing himself.
he's allowed himself a little smile. He looks quite relaxed at the moment. Interaction. tricky there. By contrast, Korea looking really stony-faced. They know they've got a problem here.
Yeah, all the pressure really on Korea with these final throws. Elio Pettersson-Dahl, that's what he's there for. He is there to throw that final stone, win the game with that final throw. He will be mentally preparing himself for that.
Basically, Korea are hoping for a mistake by Sweden to try and open a door for them. And even then, Sandal will still have the final throw. But we know in curling it can happen.
Every stone still critical.
Amen. Bra. Kändes bra.
Just good execution. That's what they want. Marcus
Stay on that
Holm.
line, he says. That's a fine throw from Marcus Holm. This is great work from Sweden. This is a lovely example of you have 7 stones to simply set up the 8th one.
Nice and clear in front of the house. Korea try yet again. This man, Nam Bong Kwang. Even he can't work his magic. Just got themselves into such a difficult position here. Following on from the start of the end. That's a good stone though.
Oh, I think it's just going to overcurl though. That is a pity for Nam Bong Kwang. He has really left it all out there. And you can see the idea there. What they want over on the side there is kind of an insurance shot. They realise that Elio Pettersson-Dahl is aiming to have a clear path to the centre. They're not getting a mistake from Sweden, putting the guards up and Sweden removing. They're not getting a mistake there. So just trying to do something different. Trying to put a shot into play. So in case Elio Pettersson-Dahl would miss with his final throw, there would be a red hanging around ready to score, but that red just over curling. I would do a throw through again here, Sweden. You don't need any more stones in play.
Ligger vi i skottet? Ja.
Vad kan de göra?
Ska vi
De
dra
kan
då?
gå ner och trycka lite på den för att försöka, men den blir ju knappast.
All of those stones are dangerous to you, Sweden.
Vad är det för fart då?
If you really want to, you could follow that red, but if you're at all short, you're going to get yourselves in trouble. And if you're at all short on that side, you're going to get yourselves in more trouble than you need to.
They're overcomplicating, aren't they?
I think so.
4-24.
Yeah, they've got plenty of time, but they just don't need any more stones in play. I would just throw this through. Leave it to Korea to make the difficult shots from here. Korea still have their timeout, but I'm not sure that can really help them.
Yeah, man.
We don't have too many options out there.
Here's Marcus Holm. His second stone. Down the middle. Away it goes.
So it's not short, that's critical. And actually, that's pretty much what I said I wanted to see anyway.
Time out.
And Korea are going to call their timeout.
It is still worth using.
Just to settle the nerves a bit, get some reassuring words.
In almost an impossible situation here. Of their own making, largely.
Yeah, a couple of tactically strange decisions earlier in the game. And critical that they used that free guard zone with their initial 2 shots in this 8th end if they were going to have anything to hide behind. But let's see what their coach offers here at the last.
이쪽에다 좀 붙여가지고 넓게 잡아서
지금 아까 뭔가
요 뒤에 들어와도 돼. 여기 뒤에 들어와도 돼.
센터 잡아. 그러면
아니 이거 맞고 들어가도 돼. 살짝
맞고 여기로 와도 돼. 그러면 여기 센터 살짝.
그렇게 하고 자 봐봐. 이게 실수하면은 뭐 살잖아. 프론트에다 하나 놔야지 뭐.
네?
프론트 마지막 샷.
그냥 마지막
나
자세.
프론트에다 하나 놔야지 뭐.
프론트.
요거나 들어와.
센터 프론트.
그렇게 해서. 없어.
알겠습니다. 네.
오케이. 자신 있게.
자, 화이팅. 화이팅.
Really only two options here for Korea. They can try again, drawing over to the wings there. And then they're really hoping for a miss from Peter Sandal. They're still leaving him space, and that's what we said they shouldn't really be doing. I think their better idea here was to try once more with a centre guard, try once more to get a mistake from Sweden.
And there's the mixed doubles silver medalists watching them, urging them on, and they'll know they're in a near impossible situation here. They need one to take it to an extra end. But there's nothing out there. Sweden have the last stone. Everything against Korea right now.
What they could be doing is saying, well, if we just nudge up against the yellow here and punch it back a bit, that creates danger for Sweden. Then there could be two reds lying.
Needs to be counting.
I think that was the idea, was to have two reds lying. So then if they could get a mistake from Sweden, there would be two reds waiting to score.
To be fair, that's good placement from Yang Hui under pressure.
Just wanted to connect with that yellow. All he had to do was touch it. I wouldn't even mind Sweden throwing this stone through, but we may see them just want to remove that red right at the back.
Går väl på draget, eller? Gör väl en så måste de
Just
följa.
neutralize it. It is that red
Jag
that's
tror vi
currently
drar
closest.
dit.
Jag tycker det.
Mitten är ju fri liksom så här.
Jaha.
Vill du ha poet eller?
Ja, de hade där eller?
Be careful messing around with this sort of weight though. I think I would tighten up the ice and throw a bit more weight.
Jag tror jag hade 12,8 på hans.
Vad tänker du fartmässigt? Det är 13 fortfarande. Ja. Kom igen, den har du.
Ligger ute.
Just needs to
Bra.
keep things stable, steady, muscle memory.
This is Sweden's insurance shot coming up now.
First of his two stones.
And if this stone connects, then Sweden cannot lose the game from here. Their worst case would be an extra end. This is lovely throw from the Swedish skipper again.
It really is. And he's counting just a slight tap. That could be the one.
Sweden from here then just moving that red. He doesn't need to move it out of play, but he does move it out of scoring position. And surely from here, Sweden's worst case is they could be facing an extra end. But surely not possible for Korea to win the game from here at this 8th end.
라인 괜찮죠? 시간 많으면 와봐요.
No way to score two reds
와서
from
보고
this
가요. 시간
position,
많아.
even with a mistake from the Swedes.
There is hope though for one. That's possible.
조금만 더.
All they can do is give themselves a chance. They need to be in shot position after this
아까
throw.
웨이트 2초 8 나갔어요.
So same again from Yang Hui-tae.
13초 좋아요.
And if they don't get in shot position, that is it.
For the sake of good curling then, let's all wish Yang Hui-tae a good shot here.
웨이트.
Yeah, let's finish off his Paralympic Winter Games experience with a positive throw.
And also Sweden would like to know they've thrown to win the game. And the final stone, let's see. 3 and 4 comes up with here. Wait.
Not bad. It's over curling again though.
It's got to be counting, it's got to be counting, and it's not.
And it will be Sweden.
And you can hear the cheers all around the stadium, because that means that Sweden have won the bronze medal. at the 2026 Paralympic Winter Games in the mixed team event. Smiles all round. Fantastic performance. A really professional performance all round for Sweden. Cuddles with the alternates, Sabina. And Korea left themselves with far too much to do in the last couple of ends.
Yeah, disappointment for them, always sad for one of the teams in semi-finals will go home without a medal, but tears of joy this time for Sweden. They really picked themselves up from a tough semi-final defeat earlier on today, and it will be they who go home with a bronze medal. Delight for Sweden.
What do you think made the difference in the final analysis? There's the scoreline in the bronze medal game. Korea 4, Sweden 7. Sweden take the bronze medal. How did they do it?
Well, definitely some tactical superiority from Sweden. There were just a couple of baffling ends there from Korea. They didn't seem to quite stick to their task, Korea, in terms of their tactics. And then critical in that 8th end. They needed both stones in that free guard zone, but both stones slipping on, that was either a tactical or an execution mistake. But Sweden really just, being the more consistent, their experience showing there. And tears of joy after some disappointment earlier on. But tactically superior from Sweden and execution when it mattered.
That's made the difference. It is a tough loss and tough to finish 4th for Korea. The mixed doubles team won the silver and they're 4th in the mixed team event. It's a really good outcome overall for Korean curling. But the medals are the things that the athletes want, and you can see how much it means to the coach there, Peter Narup, and all the support staff as well. There's the numbers in terms of the accuracy.
And look at that lead thrower, Christina Olander, and their 4th thrower, Viljo Pettersson-Dahl, sandwiching their team, and both of them really bringing their best shots to this bronze medal match. And I have to say, Sweden really deserved it. A brave effort from Korea.
And look at Nam Bongkwan's numbers, and also Bang Min-ja. She just didn't produce it in that final couple of ends, did she? That made a bit of a difference.
Just lost a bit of consistency after that 6th end. Sweden, they built on those scores in the 6th end, and we couldn't be happier. Such consistency from that team. A silver last time, a bronze this time. And well deserved.
They're going to enjoy their night ahead. The celebrations will continue, and why not? What a brilliant week. Disappointment and then joy all in the space of 24 hours. The other way.
So tough to finish 4th for Korea. Hopefully once the initial disappointment wears off a little bit, they will feel very proud that their nation made semi-finals in both disciplines, in the 4-person and the mixed doubles.
Oh, even the wee ones having a bit of a cry of joy.
It is a long journey. You really have an emotional roller coaster over these 10 days.
And they also have to work so hard just to win 1 medal in curling.
Absolutely.
It's a long week, tough week. And what was lovely to see the Korean coaches going over to the Swedes and congratulating them. The game played in such wonderful spirit.
Absolutely. That is typical in curling. Your opposition are the first to congratulate you on a nice shot, on a good win. And big cheer for the Korean fans. They have been supporting their team the whole time here in the curling stadium. And they should be very proud of their team.
Big smiles from the skip.
Sweden now in the happy position of already winning a medal. They are free to watch the gold medal game, knowing that their medal is already safe. They finished on a high. They really did bring their best shots here.
They will await the medal ceremony after the gold medal game has been completed. But they can relax and enjoy their evening tonight, knowing they've secured a very special prize.
There's the story of the game then. Again, nothing to choose in the accuracy there, and what that tells us is that Sweden were a little bit cannier, a little bit cleverer with their tactics and really making some clutch shots, especially Kiki Olander and Julio Pettersson Dahl. Korea just as accurate, but a little bit tactically naive. Not finding a way to the win this time.
And these are the shots that will be all around the world the next day. The victorious Swedish team enjoying their moment, and so they should. This is what it's all about. This is why they work so hard. This is why they travel all over Sweden, getting together to train and play for these moments that they will never forget.
All the Swedish fans, they've been supporting their team this whole week as well, putting photos of the team together. That'll be a lovely photo there.
There we go. Part one almost finished. Bronze medal game decided. Who will take the gold medal? That is a mouth-watering prospect between Canada and the People's Republic of China.
There's one more game to go here at the Paralympic Stadium. I've had 2 weeks of Winter Olympic Games, we've got 2 days of Paralympic Winter Games. One more game to go. It promises to be an epic.
You wouldn't know who to choose between those two. Both Canada and Sweden, Canada and China at the top of their game. Already had a great example. Fantastic tactics and play between these two. There's another course and a lovely meal still to come.